we're so honored to be a part of World Music Institute and this really important initiative to share culture, and our culture being Arabic culture, Arabic music culture, uh, and very appropriate time, Arabic Heritage Month.
Yeah,
And I'm very honored to be joined by my dear friend and colleague Zafer Tawil.
likewise, Mr.
Thank you.
Faraj.
Thank you. Zafer is really a virtuoso on every instrument he plays. It's something so unique. He's very much known in the music scene in New York for his ability to jump from da'oud, qanoon, nai, table, ri, uh, and maybe we'll ask him some questions about these different instruments he plays and how he jumps between them. And maybe I'll start with a question like that.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Most musicians play one or two instruments proficiently, but you play many. So how does playing qanoon and oud and percussion, how does this influence you as a musician and how you look at music overall?
For me, instruments is, an extension to my body in terms of, because I grew up with them I learned these instruments as an apprenticeship. So I didn't go to school or I didn't have lessons. And I learned in an institute where I go there every day and, live the music on the daily basis. And I lived it in many ways. I composed music for many movies in the States and some plays back home too. I'm not, I don't know if you guys have my resume but I composed a few
For Anne
plays.
Hathaway, right?
Yeah, yes,
A film
the
with Anne
name
Hathaway.
Rachel Getting Married with Jonathan Demme was the director, and I composed also
I
a
discovered it on
few.
iTunes.
Yeah.
The soundtrack, I was listening to it. The
Oh,
compositions are amazing.
yeah, and
I love it.
a few pieces for a documentary also by Jonathan Demme,
Mm,
Man from Plains, and I composed a few plays like puppet shows back home, and
mm,
so I have, but I'm not active in that field today because after having the kids and the family, it takes you away from that
mm.
because you have to make living from the music. I'm really busy with playing with different groups and trying to survive New York City. But instruments, going back to the
Yeah.
subject, instruments is joy because each instrument have a
Mm.
different character. Like for example, playing, I play a little ney. I wouldn't say I'm a good ney player, but it's like singing.
And the nai is like
It's
Arabic
like
flute,
it's an
for those who
Arabic
don't know.
bamboo flute. Yeah,
There's no reed, right? It's
yeah.
just
No reed. It's an end blown flute, and it's made out of bamboo. Legato instrument, ney, violin, they feel like singing, like like I'm
mm,
singing a song. It's nice because the melody is continuous and
mm,
curvy. And
that's right.
pizzicato instrument, they feel different.
Mm, mm,
and it just the instrument have interesting the oud interesting sound. It makes me think it's like between the bass range and the
mm,
treble range. It's like a kind of a blocked cello. I feel
mm,
it's a blocked cello, and it's actually the tuning is similar to each other with the cello.
mm,
And then the qanun, the qanun is like a harp. It's lovely because all the strings they're open. You can play all the tonics.
mm.
It's like a piano
And you
or
don't
a
have to worry
harpsichord.
about intonation because it's just open
It's
strings.
open and you can change with the mandals,
Mm,
but playing different keys is more doable than the oud, for example, like
mm.
C sharp minor or
Mm.
F sharp
Oh
minor,
wow.
where on the oud it's difficult because the fingering you might have to change the tuning.
Yes, I mean I play the oud, I don't play qanun, so this is very interesting
Yeah.
You know, I could never play C sharp minor. I
Yeah,
could, but it wouldn't
exactly.
be,
So, like
wouldn't feel good.
the tonality on the qanun
Mm,
is more open that you can
very
play
nice.
many keys, all of the keys almost.
And this is very true about you. You know, sometimes I go to your house and I see that you're playing Qanun after not touching it for a long time. Maybe you had many gigs on Daoud.
Yeah.
And then I see how much you miss the Qanun because you
Oh
start
my
to
God.
discover these things,
Yeah, sometimes that
you
happens.
know?
Because the qanun is such an inviting, such a beautiful instrument with the skin, because the bridge sits
Mm,
on the skin, and it's
mm.
so warm like the kora, and like even more warmer than the harp because of the skin. And it's just a lovely experience. Lovely. I feel like I'm so lucky to be able to play these instruments. It's such a blessing to me and my family.
Yeah,
It's amazing experience. I want to ask you, what
okay.
makes, growing up in New York, how did you, like I would expect you to like hip hop or blues
Ah,
or
good question.
jazz. How did you fall in love with this genre of music? Started singing Arabic music and maqam in general.
Yeah, but thank you for the question. And I think, you know, what's really interesting about this talk is that we have me, or we have Zafer, who came from Palestine to New York, and he grew up in the region. And me, I'm fourth generation Syrian, so I grew up here. My father grew up here, so we're coming from two different backgrounds, but
Yeah.
yet we're playing the same music. And as you said, I grew up here, and I wasn't exposed to so much Arabic music growing up. However, my grandfather, he was the only one of his siblings that was born in the States, but the rest of his siblings were born in Syria. Some were born in Egypt,
In Halab or Damascus?
in Halab, in
Halab.
Aleppo.
So closer to Turkey is Halab.
Yes, on the border of
Yeah.
Turkey. So they share lots of Turkish culture as well.
Okay.
And this influences my new compositions, my connection to Turkey, but that's a different topic. We'll
Okay.
get there. But yes, from Halab, and then his family moved at some point to Alexandria. So some of his siblings, his older siblings were born in Halab, in Aleppo, and then his younger siblings were born in Alexandria. This is why I like to take influence from Syrian and Egyptian music.
Yeah.
But growing up, my grandfather used to play records of Kulthum and Sabah Fakhri, and I used to hear these records, and I'd ask him, I'd say Jiddo, uh, and though we didn't speak a lot of Arabic at home, we called him Jiddo, you know, because
Well,
he's our
that was
Arabic.
one. Oh,
That was
that's
one of
so
the words we
cute.
used. So I said Jiddo. Sometimes we would call him Jid. It's like a
Oh,
cute, like shorter one,
yes.
you know, Americanized version of Arabic. So we called him, we'd say, Jiddo, what is this song? And we were fascinated by this music. And, you know, growing up, I was studying
When you say
piano and
we,
jazz.
you
Me
and
and my brother, my older
oh, he
brother, who's
also
also a
plays.
musician.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know that, but I guess for the interview, you
Yeah,
want
for
the
the
audience.
interview, it's exciting
That's
news.
exciting news. Zafer also plays in many projects with my brother,
Yeah.
Adwar and Mwashahat, very old.
Yeah, Sayyid
Uh,
Safti, Saleh Abdul Hayy, and these all like classical singers and musicians from the beginning of the century, like 20s, 30s, and we love their music, but it's very kind of intimate music that we share between us. There's,
mm,
like do you listen much to Safti? And
yes, because of my brother growing
yeah,
up there.
he's so deep in it, I think, more than all of us.
Yes, so my brother kind of brought me this education, this musical education from the early 1900s in the Arab world in Egypt.
Yeah,
But then my work ended up becoming a little more contemporary, composing new music. We can get to that later, but to answer your question,
yeah,
what was it like how did I come to Arabic music growing up here?
yeah.
And so I used to listen to jazz, classical music, rock. I was studying jazz with Joe Pass, great jazz guitar player,
Yeah, I
student,
remember
Joe
you mentioned.
DiCara.
Yeah,
We studied jazz at a very high level, uh, classical as well. But when my grandfather played those records as a music student, I was very drawn to them. And I see this actually with a lot of my friends now in Juilliard. We have a group of 12 Juilliard violinists coming to play with us at the Met. And they're all just so excited about this music because when you hear the microtones and you hear maqam, music theory, it draws you in. You know that there's
Yeah,
something
it's a different
spiritual.
world, you know.
So I was drawn in by
Yeah,
this. I was amazed by maqam, this beautiful sound, and I felt it was part of my culture because I grew up hearing these songs already. So it wasn't foreign to me, but I wanted to learn how to play it, which isn't so easy to find, especially where I grew up in Maryland. So I had to find a teacher, and I ended up finding a friend of mine, or a friend of yours, sorry,
he is.
from Jerusalem.
Yes, Shawkat al-Sayyad.
Yes,
Yeah, this
it's a
Shawkat,
crazy
man,
coincidence.
this
Shawkat's
man,
amazing.
he knew so many songs by heart. It's like one of the most impressive musicians. He used to come to Jerusalem in the summer where I grew up, and we would play music together, you know, in the Palestinian National Theater if it's open. Oh, half of the year it was closed. But let's not go into that. So we used to play classics. He knew classics from Sabah Fakhri to Abdul Wahab to Abdul Muhammad Abdul Muttalib. Very impressive music. So you learned. How long did you study with Shawkat? For the
Like 3, 4 years.
Whoa,
Yeah.
no,
Uh,
you and your brother.
yes. And then later on, we started to study here in New York with some great teachers. One of them, Maurice Shadid, great Lebanese composer
Yeah,
and musician. Um, and so yeah, I studied there, and it's a crazy coincidence because I was living in Maryland. You were here in New York,
yeah.
but I was learning with a musician you grew up with.
Oh,
And then I came to New York, and the first time I met Zafer, we were at a wedding performance,
yeah.
and they wanted two violinists. So
New
we were
Jersey,
both
right? It
playing
was New
in New
Jersey.
Jersey. We were both playing violin.
Yeah.
And I was still young and in my beginnings, and Zafer was a pro. And I remember asking him questions and asking him to play تقسيمة, and I was just amazed by his تقسيمة.
It's amazing what a small world
It's
that
crazy
he
small world.
and just unbelievable. Uh, and how did you start singing? So you started learning oud with Shawkat.
Yes,
And how did you go into singing later and speaking more Arabic and
that's a
learning
good
the
question. So when I was studying oud and I also played violin, um, I always loved singing more than being an instrumentalist, but I felt a little shy to sing because I spoke Arabic, but it was very low level of Arabic. And, to sing, uh, you have to have very high level of Arabic, understanding even sometimes complex Quranic styles like idgham
That's it, yeah.
and these things. So I felt I wasn't ready to do this, but then eventually I found a great teacher to work with me on my Arabic dictation, on my speaking skills, and slowly I started to improve myself, and then I started singing in small gatherings until I eventually started taking bigger stages, and um, and we have a question here actually.
Yeah.
Where did your love of Arabic poetry? Oh, so this is on point with what we're talking about. Where did your love for Arabic poetry come from? How do you choose the text that you set music to? And how much does the rhythm of the words factor into your selection? Well, this is a great question. Um, so being someone who kind of learned about the beauty of Arabic literature later in life, I didn't grow up, and most second generation Arabs living here, second, third generation, they might be able to speak in the house, but they don't speak Arabic Fusha.
That's what they spoke عامية.
Ammi. So
No,
Ammi means colloquial Arabic, and Arabic
colloquial.
Fusha means classical Arabic. So that's like literary Arabic, and it's like the Shakespeare of the Arabic language, for example. And so I was very fascinated by this idea that Arabic literature, is a very deep form of poetry that's quite ancient, actually. Its roots are very ancient, uh, almost 2,000 years old. So even new writers of this style of classical Arabic take you back to the early times of history in our region. So I was just blown away by this tradition. And Sabah Fakhri from Aleppo, where I'm from originally, was one of the great singers that sang beautiful poetry in Fusha
He
from
sang by Ahmed Shawqi, many in the
Andalusian
Murshahat,
poetry.
Andalusian poetry, yes, Ibn Arabi, maybe, I don't know. But I remember us speaking about Ibn Arabi
Yes,
and about Wallada bint al-Mustaqlab and Ibn
yes,
Zaytun and all these stories about poetry. I'm so impressed, man. It's amazing how much you remember you remembering you in the beginning, from like the little Arabic you had, and how much you evaluated, how much
yes.
you
Evolved.
learned, evolved in
Mm,
these what, like 8 years,
yeah,
10 years maybe.
yeah,
You've been
something
at
like
it
this.
for a while.
Yeah.
It's very impressive. And how did you decide like you're gonna start to compose in Arabic, and what inspired you?
Mm.
What gave you the energy to start composing?
Yeah, I remember one time I was working in a studio on a project that we had together, recording an old dur, which is like an old form of Arabic music, but doing it in a new way. We brought a big band and we recorded it in Brooklyn, remember?
Yeah.
And then one of the sound engineers said, "Oh, did you write this song? Or like, what inspired you to write this song?" I said, "It's actually not my song." He said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah, it's an old song that we're doing in a new way, preserving it." He said, "Why are you doing that? Like, you should record your own music. You have good opportunity to record in the studio with this huge band, good budget.
Yeah.
Why are you recording someone else's song?" He asked me this
Yes.
as like an outsider.
Yeah.
He doesn't know that in our tradition, this is very common, in the Arabic world to re-record classics. But he was confused by it because I think in the Western world, uh, most people who get the opportunity to a grant or something to record in the studio, they want to show their work or their arrangements or compositions. So he asked it from a very innocent standpoint. But then when he asked me that, I really thought to myself, you know what? I would love to record my own works and produce something that's coming from me and my life experience, my musical uh, life experience. So slowly I started to compose my own compositions, and over the years I ended up composing many. And to answer the questions, how do I choose the poems? So first of all, I like to choose poems of things that I'm going through in my life. So I read poetry of Ibn Zaydun, for example, a famous Andalusian poet, and I find a couple stanzas that remind me of something I went through, and then this inspires me to make beautiful music because it's inspiring the feelings that I'm thinking about, or that life experience that reminds me of that poem. And that's kind of how I choose the poetry. And then also the poetry has to be rhythmic. Um, it has to be on wizn, on uh,
العروض
yes, on the
was
poetic measures according to rules. So in Arabic poetry, there are actually rules on how uh, the lines should be written, and they should all be matching, and it's
the
very complex art
yeah.
in and of itself.
There's this art, al-arud, that's what Faraj trying to,
Mm.
it's a rhythmic بحور الشعر. So there's 11 or 12 بحور for share. It's like a rhythmic patterns for poetry, for Arabic poetry, and sometimes in some of the old classic songs, not today. I mean, composers they don't follow it today, but sometimes in the classic genre, music genre, they would take the rhythm. Actually, the rhythm would be 24 or 36 these long rhythms that follows بحور الشعر, and it's the name of it is عروض.
Yeah, and sometimes something I experimented with on my album, Kisses of Poetry, my recent album, was we took one poem of Ahmed Shawqi and we tried composing it on very odd muwashah rhythms. And we went to many different time signatures. Usually muwashah stays in one time signature, and usually that time signature is a reflection of the poetic meter of that poem.
You're talking about لحظة.
Yes.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
lahza, what do you remember which rhythm it starts with?
It's York سماعي لحظة لحظة. That's the
Yes.
وقت.
Yes.
7.
Yes, 7.
Yeah, 7 actually, not 2.
Yeah. So it
Yeah.
starts off لحظة لحظة رويدا رويدا
One, two,
كم
three,
إلى
one,
كم
two, one,
تكيد
two, one, two,
للروح
three, one, two.
كيدا لحظة لحظة رويدا رويدا كم إلى كم تكيد للروح كيدا كف أو لا تكف
One, two,
إنا
three, one, two,
بجنبك
one.
لسيامنا أرسلت لن ترد يا للي يا لا يا لا 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 يا للي. So maybe I like how you were teaching them how to count it.
Yeah.
So how do you count the
So we
7?
use in music, we do dum tak tak dum is tak is. We use syllables. That's how you learn. It's like kind of takidina, the Indian syllables, but we use also in Arabic dum tak is. These syllables and subdivisions. But in the old days, they used more the syllables and the hands. This is dom, this tak, and the s is the silent. So this will be dom tak tak dom is tak is dom tak tak dom is tak is, and that's the 7. And usually it goes also again with the poetry. When you learn a muwashah, like the muwashah Faraj composed, or because he's familiar with this style of music, because I'm assuming you're fascinated by music from Halab and from Syria,
Yes.
you know. So this style, the way you learn muwashahat is you sing and you play the rhythm before playing. You sing the maqam with your voice and the melody, and you play the rhythm with your hand. Then you perform it in an ensemble setting.
Mm-hmm.
So we usually in the beginning when you learn the rhythm by itself, you use the syllable dom tak is. So this there's a name for this rhythm, nawach. Dum tak tak dum is tak is dum tak
Tak
tak dum is
tak
tak is.
dum
One
tak
two
tak
three
dum
1 2
tak
1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2. So if يعني we were to think لحظة you would practice like that.
Exactly. And the challenge of composing this poem is you have to think about this strange, odd rhythm and make sure that the words are easily pronounceable and that they're also staying within this rhythm.
Yeah.
And then we moved from this rhythm to another. We went to a 5 rhythm, which I think is called sot.
Yeah.
Uh,
صوت إذا الخليجي rhythm.
yeah, but it's in 5, right?
Remind me.
It goes أو فصغني من الحجرة قلبا ثم صغني من الحديد كبد وكفي جفني خافقا ليس يرقا ترتم وكفي جفني خافقا ليس يهدى ترنم
No, I
أو
don't think.
فصغني.
1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1
Yes.
2 1 2. No, that's not the sort.
What
That's
is
like
this?
it's just a 5. I
There's
don't know
no
if it
موشح
have a
rhythm to
name.
this?
No.
Doesn't have a name.
No. I mean, you could say Georgina is 10 and 5, but
Okay.
Georgina is different.
Okay.
But it might have a name. I don't know.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I think we have another
We have
question.
another question. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Sorry, Zafer.
You're faster at reading than me, so
Let me help.
you
You mentioned
mentioned
Andalusian
Andalusian.
poetry. Have you ever collaborated with flamenco artists?
Yes.
So there's a button here, answer. I'm gonna enter this.
Myself, can I answer this first?
Yeah,
I
please.
love there's a flamenco artist. She's Adir, Barbara Martinez, and Arturo. Barbara is an amazing singer, and also our friend, also a flutist. Wait, let me.
A flutist.
He plays the flute and he sings. What's his name?
Well, we also have Guillermo, no?
And Guillermo.
Yeah,
Amazing. Guillermo is one of my
Guillermo
favorite guitars.
Gullin. Yeah,
Yes.
he's based here in
Arturo
New York.
Martinez and Barbara Martinez, actually, and Guillermo. We played for years in the city and around the city.
But you
Uh,
know what? I have a question for you, Zafer.
yeah.
We talk about Andalusian music and poetry, and we always associate it with Halab and Syria.
Yeah.
So why is there's this strong Andalusian influence in Syria?
Look, these, so the lyrics, they were written in, sometimes the poetry, it comes from the time of Andalusia, and sometimes مثلا يا من لعبت به الشمول ما ألطف هذه الشمائل. This موشح, you find it, the same lyrics, Andalusian lyrics composed in a three different way. In Morocco, in a Moroccan
Mm,
شعبي music way, and sometimes you find it in Iraq مثلا, it's composed on the 10 rhythm of
mm,
Georgina,
mm,
and in a different way in Syria.
mm,
Sometimes this poetry, when it's a famous poet, like a poet like Ibn Zaydun or Ibn Khaldun or Ibn Arabi or Qais Sulayla, or all the classics, the Andalusian Ibn Rushd, or all these amazing poets, a poet or معلقات, or the people who wrote معلقات, sometimes they get the poetry is so beautiful that it's memorized even without the music.
mm.
Like you find people, they're not musical at all, they're passionate about Arabic language, and they memorize, or especially the معلقات.
So then the music, like a muwashah or like an Andalusian poem that was composed in Syria, musically, does it have anything Andalusian in it, or musically it's completely Syrian? It's just that the poem is from Spain.
Sometimes that's the case. The poem is Andalusian, and the ones that they are composed in Syria are purely Syrian. But at the time also, when Andalusia, when the Muslims and the Jews lived in Andalusia, and it was more open at the time, people used to travel between Baghdad, North Africa.
Yes.
At the time there was more traveling Silk Road, and things will go around. But I see, like from my personal
Mm,
experience, I
mm,
find Muwashahs who's composed, who's sang in Morocco, they're closer to flamenco than the ones in
mm.
Syria. But
Yeah.
still, also the ones in Syria, they have elements like the improvising,
Mm.
singing high pitch voice,
Yeah, that
similar
maybe comes from flamenco,
from,
vice versa.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it was very interesting having Guillermo on my album because I compose with the Syrian style in mind. But then I brought Guillermo, a great flamenco guitarist, and then he took these very Syrian things I composed and gave it a nice
Yeah,
Andalusian or Spanish
and
touch,
also
which
the
was a really nice
modes.
fusion.
Sorry to cut, but
Yeah, it's
also the
okay.
modes in flamenco. They use a lot of, like Cameron. He used like the most famous. He used to sing with Paco de Lucia, and you know he used the maqam Kurd or maqam Hijaz. Many times you hear like
Mm.
or he could
So even what you're saying is even Al-Andalus was influenced by the Arabs. So
Yeah, even
back and
Anders,
forth.
back and forth,
Over there,
yes.
they're influenced by us.
You
Over
feel
by
he's
us.
a guy from Morocco or Syria, because these maqams, it sounds like a maqam.
And that's actually going back to Arab Heritage Month.
Yeah.
This is one of the beautiful things about being Arabic here in New York. You get to have these experiences with different world musicians because we're all living
Oh,
here.
New York is such a unique place for music, because it's the hub for musicians. I don't know if I will be here without musicians in New York.
Mm.
You know, if
By
my
the way, this
favorite thing is the music
this is
about the
why
city.
when I have a project, I love to bring Zafer to put his touch on it. Anytime I have a recording, because when he's playing percussion, I don't feel like I'm just bringing an Arabic percussionist. I'm bringing someone who's like a world percussionist because you're here in New York, you're gigging with people from all different
Also,
cultures, and it
yeah,
influence even how you play Arabic music.
friends, and I learned from
Yeah.
friends, and I used to go. My favorite thing to do in New York City, I used to go to Union Square to Geneva Dance Studio, where people from Guinea, from Senegal, from Afro-Cuban music, you learn the claves, you learn what's the sabar, you learn what's the
Mm.
bata, what is bandero, what is all these instruments, and you know, it's amazing. I wouldn't say I'm a master on these instruments, no, but I know them and I love the rhythm that we share the rhythm and we played together with many masters from Brazil to Puerto Rico, you know,
And you're not just learning them in a school setting or like you're learning from experience. You're doing these
masters, you know, we
performances.
played together.
Wow.
I think there's another question.
Okay, let's see. Is there a dance tradition that goes with Syrian music?
Absolutely. So if you remember Sabah Fakhri, you know this, it was a dance, the thing he
With the
did.
manadil, with the napkins.
You know, it's a dance, they call it رقص السماح. You knew this?
No, I didn't know.
There's a Sufi dance, Sufi music from Sufi musician from Syria. They call this رقص السماح, but I think Sabah did a limited version of it.
Mm.
I don't know much about it other than the name, but I
And
think
for
this
those
one,
of you who don't know Sabah Fakhri is kind of
the icon
the
singer.
Syrian icon of our culture and our singing. And spent he spent his life's
Lifetime.
work preserving classical Syrian singing and music, as well as cultural tradition. So he would do certain dances on stage to preserve these
Yeah,
things and
it's
for
connected to
people to
Raqs
remember.
al-Samah that coming
Interesting.
from Sufi. You know, because also, like, guys, the people who, like, you know, Sheikh Omar al-Batsh. Listen, this Sheikh, I learned about this Sheikh later in my life, to be honest, meeting people who loves Muwashahat. Again, going back to the
Mm.
Andalus poetry, it
And
was
he
composed.
composed many
He
important
composed many
pieces.
important Muwashahat
Mm.
and influenced by you know, they can be sang in a religious setting and in a concert
Mm.
setting. And it's amazing. This guy, Omar al-Batsh, is one of my favorite موشحات composed by him. I think
Which
Sabah.
one?
I like قلت لما غاب عني.
Can you sing it for me?
Yeah. قلت لما غاب عني رررم نور مرآك المسؤول قلت
قلت
لما
لما غاب
غاب عني
عني
نور
نور
نور مرآك
مرآك
المسؤول
المصون
شفني
شفني
والله
والله
السقم
السقم
فيه
فيه
قد
قد
ذقت
ذقت
المنون
المنون
فيه قد ذقت المنون Allah.
ايوه
So this one, and he have هتسقنيها من يديك معصورة
I don't know this one.
من وجناتك. He's thinking about drinking wine, you know, drinking wine because at the time they used to write poetry about wine and
Yes.
هتسقنيها, give me to drink from your hand, juiced out of your cheeks.
يا سلام.
Allah.
Beautiful. And maybe I should translate the Ibn Arabi poem. The
Which
one
one? وقد أصبح قلبي
قد
قابلا.
كنت قبل اليوم أنكر صاحبي إذا لم يكن ديني إلى دينه داني لقد صار
الله
قلبي قابلا
قابلا
كل
كل
صورة
صورة فمر
فمرعا لي غزلاني ودير لي رهباني وبيت لأوثان وكعبة طائف
خليت
وألواح
حافظه.
توراة ومصحف قرآن أدين بدين الحب
بإن
أن توجهت ركائبه
فالحب
فالحب
ديني.
ديني وإيماني.
Amazing. This is one of my favorite. So Ibn
We should
Arabi,
translate this for those who don't.
yes, you're better at that than me. You could
So
do it.
what's the first line? قد كنت قبل اليوم
قابلا كل صورة, right?
قد كنت قبل اليوم أنكر
أنكر
صاحبي إذا
صاحبي.
لم يكن ديني إلى دينه داني. So there was one, this is a poem from the Andalusian time, which was like a revolution for Arabic thought. So this is from a philosopher named Ibn Arabi. And he tells these very beautiful ideas. Um, he says, there was once a time where uh, where I didn't like my friend if he wasn't the same religion or tribe as me.
Yeah.
Then he says, لَقَدْ صَارَ قَلْبِي قَابِلًا كُلَّ سُورَةٍ. But then suddenly my heart became open to all different shapes and all different forms. فمر عن لي غزلاني ودير لي رهباني, open to the gazelles and the monastery.
Allah, one
uh,
of my favorite.
رهباني وبيت لأوثان وكعبة طائف والواح
توراة
وتوراة ومصحف
ومصحف القرآن.
القرآن. So my heart became open to many things. Uh, the uh, the scribes,
Of a
the
priest.
yes, and the scrolls of the Quran,
And
and the scrolls of the
the
Torah.
Torah.
uh, توراة ومصحف القرآن. أدين بدين الحب أن توجهت.
Okay.
My love, then I discovered that actually my religion
Is love.
is love, no matter which path I take.
It's true.
No matter which path I go, I realize love is the answer.
Yes.
الحب ديني وإيماني. Love is my religion and my belief. And we composed this song and released it. It's on,
You composed it.
yes.
That's why you memorized. That's right.
That's why I know it.
No, it's one of my favorite. I love this. I love this poetry. I
Yeah.
remember even telling you about it.
Yes, you told me
know,
a long time ago.
yeah.
You said you should compose this, Faraj, and then I said okay, and then I composed it 3 years later, and I forgot you told me that.
Yeah.
And then one time I gave credit to someone else. I said, "Oh, someone showed me this," and then you said, "No, Faraj, it was me." And then I said, "Oh, yes."
Yeah, it's one of
No,
Ibn Arabi. I just love because all his message is about love. You know, all his poetry is about
yes.
love. I didn't know about him till later too, like the last 10 years.
Mm.
And he have this hikam. If you read his hikam like advisory, he advise you. He have advices in life. You know,
What's in a
about
life advice you like from Ibn Arabi?
like حب لأخيك حب لنفسك ما تحب لغيرك.
Mm.
يعني treat people how you treat yourself.
Mm.
You know, I don't remember much, but
And I think that
I
that's
used-
why it's important to write music to the words of Ibn Arabi because it
yeah,
has a meaningful message too.
I have
Okay.
question. Food.
Oh, interesting.
I'm hungry. Just kidding.
Okay, this is from Kate. Food is
Kate,
such a cultural touch point like literature and music. So we often ask our World Music Institute Plus at Home artists to share their favorite traditional dishes. Do you have any you can share with us and maybe some favorite places to get them?
oh,
تفضل زافر.
yeah. Well, um, I would say
Zafer likes good food and he's a great cook as well.
I like
Very nice.
to be honest, I love to cook things in my house. I would say tabbouleh is one of my favorite dishes. And tabbouleh, it's purely parsley and bourguignon soaked in lemon and with olive oil. It's a salad. It's amazing salad.
Mm,
And you can get it anywhere in New York City, but best places usually the Lebanese restaurants and some Palestinian restaurants also. They
like
make good
ayat.
like
It's good.
ayat. Well, I don't. Yeah, they make good tabbouleh, but I would say Tanureen makes better tabbouleh than
Be careful, the ayat people might see
No,
this
I know. Well, both of them Ayat makes good tabbouleh too,
video.
but they're not specified for this.
You know, I think the best place to get it is at Zafer's
Massage.
home.
And
Home
my
cooked.
house. And
Home cooked.
Lassage is really good.
Lasage, where's Lasage?
Lassage Marwan. It's in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. Amazing. It's a good tabbouleh. And they make also kibbeneh, all like the Lebanese Sham cuisine, like Sham, Bilad al-Sham, Syria, Palestine, Lebanon. Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
And in my culture, from Aleppo, my favorite dish is kibbeh karaz.
I know
I love
I
kibbeh
tried this
karaz.
at your house. I don't know if your mother did it or you bought it,
Yes.
but it was delicious.
Yeah. My mother loves to make it, and my sister-in-law, and it's basically, kibbeh, which is a certain type of meat that has a cherry sauce and
Mm,
kind of that fusion of like savory and sweet and sour with the cherry and the meat. It's very amazing,
mm.
unique taste.
I
If
remember.
you'd like, I can make it for you sometimes off.
Yes, I would like anytime. I'll cook for you also tabbouleh, and there's so many dishes. There's
Mansaf. You taught me how
mansaf.
to make
It's
mansaf
heavy.
once.
It's a meat-based. You have to get this special yogurt we call jamid, and this you get at Ayat. It's really good. Mansaf.
Jamid is like
Yeah,
it's like a bitter kind of yogurt or like a savory yogurt.
yeah. It's
Kind.
kind of like they dry it up to store it.
That's why it's called jamid.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
made out of goat.
Mm.
So yeah, that's what's special about
Oh
it.
wow.
Yeah.
So, and how do you think that food and music relate?
Well, we come to the idea of ornamentation.
Mm.
Now, you see, when you play a musical phrase, you ornament, you make it beautiful. You do a glaze or a
Mm.
urba or like or something,
Trills, vocal trills,
trails
or these
or
things.
a glaze.
Ornaments.
So
Yes.
ornamentation exists in everything,
Mm.
in food, in clothing.
Mm.
If you see a hummus plate, people throw on it some sumac, some olive
Mm.
oil. That's also part of the ornamentation.
Mm.
If you see tabbouleh the same way, if you see, food, like how we design food, we design our houses.
I
This is
love
all
this
ornamentation.
metaphor
Yeah,
between ornamentation in culture,
and
between
design.
food, design, music. And I think that's what's really interesting about, because I'm very interested in pan-Arabic music as well as Zafer. We're not just interested in the music of our region, the Levantine, but we're interested in Moroccan music, Yemeni
Guys,
music, Sudani music. And I think the one of the big differences between these different cultures is the ornaments, which are like the spices, like the way that the Arbe, the ornament of Maghrebi music, how would you say it's different than Syrian ornaments
what, in music or food?
in music?
Oh, well, in Maghrebi music, they use pentatonic scales, sometimes
Mm,
pentatonic scales with microtones. And they have a huge repertoire of different music that influenced by Africa, by Amazigh, by Portugal, because they were
mm,
occupied by the Europeans.
mm,
Spain occupied Morocco, Portugal occupied, and the French occupied Morocco. So all these influences in the language, they have this language that it's combined between all of these things,
yes, yes,
and they call it derja.
yeah.
And the same with the music and the food.
And I remember when you visited Morocco, you were just so amazed,
Oh
and
man,
since then you've been amazed with the culture
I
and
want to
very
go
drawn
back
to it.
so bad.
Yeah.
I loved Morocco. We went to this festival. You go into this palace, open, because it's hot in Marrakesh in the summer.
Mm. Yeah,
Sure,
of course.
and the name of the place is Qasr Badia, the Palace of Badia.
Mm.
And you sit, there's this festival, Mahrajan Marrakesh للتراث الشعبي. Marrakesh Festival for Folk Music.
Mm.
And they bring everyone from the desert, every Moroccan music that exists
Wow.
only in Morocco, not
Wow.
from outside, only
Wow.
in Morocco.
Wow.
Amazigh, African, acrobats,
Wow.
Gnawa.
You played at this festival? You just
No, I'm
attended.
just
You just
an
studied.
observer.
Wow.
Gnawa, Malhoun,
Wow.
some of the wildest melodies that I ever heard.
Wow.
Even I cry on some of the videos that
Wow.
I lost. I recorded in my phone and I can't find them. I made a
Wow.
mistake. I was recording. I wanted to record the whole thing. It
Wow.
was amazing festivals
Wow.
and different, pentatonic scales. Sometimes it's just an old lady singing this in her own scale, just
Wow.
raw material, so
Wow.
beautiful with the moon and with Moroccan tea. They give everybody
And a
Moroccan
lot
tea.
of this stuff isn't archived or recorded. It's like
No,
maybe you're.
some of it, many people go to Morocco to record, but The stuff that I heard that night, it was a 3 hour concert.
Wow.
There's no pause. One group goes
Wow.
and when the other group comes in.
Have you collaborated with Gnawa artists?
Yes, yes, we love Gnawa. معلم Hassan. I played with the معلم Hassan Hakmoon. I have friends like Samir Langus. But to be honest with you, my favorite is معلم Hassan. All Hassan Hakmoon and the other. And my friend also Mahdi Nasuli. He's unbelievable Gnawa and Gimbri player who lives in Paris. And yeah, I love Gnawa music. It's amazing.
Yes. And now we're getting actually to the end. We have 9 minutes left.
Yeah.
So if any of the participants have
More
questions, feel
questions?
free to ask. And in the meantime, I would like to ask Zafir, how do you think we should end this talk? What's you think should be if we want to end it off, what should the last topic be? Especially considering we're in Arabic Heritage Month.
Really? You have okay. So with all this
Sorry, I put you on the spot, Zafir. I'm
but
sorry.
that's what to be honest, today I saw يعني my heart and all my feelings goes out to Gaza and to the poor people in Gaza who's Palestine and Gaza who's experiencing genocide and crazy American bombs and Israeli bombs falling on top of their head. Today, I almost cried in the morning. I saw all these people on the ground, and I turned the page because it kills. It really uh, it's so sad and it hits me in the chest. I ruined my whole day. Even Faraj asked, "You're not together."
Yeah, I
No,
noticed today when I saw you,
yeah,
you were a little bit down,
yeah,
and
and hopefully peace will come soon and this genocide will end.
yeah, we hope for peace. And as musicians, this is we can share our culture and our music, and hopefully we see better times.
Yeah,
And Zafir, I'm very proud of all the work that you've been doing in general, performing, volunteering for this cause, and yeah, I'm honored
and
to.
for peace in general. I mean,
Yeah.
this world is going nuts lately.
Mm.
Where there's messages against homosexuality, messages. This is now the Gulf of Mexico instead of the Gulf of America. Instead, there's crazy stuff happening in the world, and we need to be more friendly to each other and create a healthier environment full of peace and love, like
Yeah.
Ibn Arabi said. We
الحب
want
ديني
الحب
وإيمان.
ديني وإيماني. We
That's
don't
right.
want money and oil and real estate to control us. And, you know,
And one of
uh,
the things I love about going back to talking about New York, being in New York, where I see that you, as well as myself, were always drawn to different projects, bringing different cultures together and different.
you're one of the most friendliest guy in the community that I saw. Everybody loves you.
Thank you. You too. You too. And
Uh,
that's why, because we do music because we love it. I think people see that
exactly.
we
And
do it
you're
out of the
open,
love.
your heart is open for everyone. And that's the approach to make this world is a better place as a better place and for a city like amazing city like this what makes New York so lovely because all of us it's the city of colors I call it.
Mm.
The colors is so colorful, with the people from all over the world. It makes it That's what makes it beautiful.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to end the talk, that music should be what heals, and as musicians we have responsibility to do whatever we can to enrich the community and to bring good to the world.